live?
Yeah.
Oh, here we are. Is this a good mic or is that the good mic?
That's a good mic. You got it.
All right. Well, starting to do some podcasts. You may have heard recently the topic of mold in your coffee, and what a way to think about mold. Everybody thinks about mold when you have it in your basement and it's you peel back the drywall perhaps, and there's mold there, and everybody's heard of somebody that has mold um, allergy or illness, and they have to go to the hospital. They have to move out of their house. That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about coffee mold. The mold that probably is more serious is the airborne mold that can be found in your house. Those types of molds are, I can't pronounce a lot of these, but Aspergillus, Penicillium, Cattomium. They can grow on drywall and building materials.
Yeah.
Do you know? Everybody knows somebody. You
Yeah,
probably know
everyone knows someone that's been affected or allergic to mold or black mold in their house or whatever it is.
Yeah, we had our store. Which one was it? I think it was our 42nd Street store. We had a leaky water pipe, and the mold got into the drywall, and we had to get it tested, and it tested okay, so we didn't have to do a comprehensive mold removal project, which would have been more expensive. I think cost us about $5,000 the way it was, but mold is serious. And when it comes to coffee, it's a topic right now, and a lot of people are advertising, a lot of wholesalers and coffee roasters are advertising their coffee is mold free. Have you seen that?
I kind of looked around. I typed in just mold free coffee on Google and a few popped up. I kind of looked at it and they were some of the claims they were making and some of the advertising points seemed a little almost fear-based more than
I think you said that right, fear-based. And a lot of times our buying decisions can be the result of being fearful. And what we're going to talk to you today is about our coffee and what we've done. We've had a situation here where we had an employee, that's been with us for a while, and he has developed an autoimmune disease, and they have traced it back to ochratoxin, and which is it's a type of mold, and it can be found in coffee, but it's more prevalent in actually in chili. So not the country, but the consumable.
yeah.
And so we thought, to do justice, let's get this tested, just because we want to put everybody at ease in our company. Is it airborne? Is it something that you can obtain by touch, or is it consumable? So we contacted, or maybe you contacted the company, but it's a local company that we're bringing in to check our product for mold.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend, and he says he told me he had an allergy. It was to coffee, but it's not mold. And he said that ochratoxins are definitely found in coffee, but really, really rare in specialty coffee. Generally, it is in a coffee that has 16 has 16% moisture, and a coffee that is it stops the mold growth, and so roasting stops the mold growth and the toxins. That is why that grades of specialty coffee to the ICO does not need testing, according to the ICO. But we went ahead and tested anyway. We don't have those results in yet, but we will. We're testing not only for coffee in our the mold in our unroasted green coffee, but we're also testing it for airborne qualities as well. So, having said all that, you might have something you want to add, Sam.
Just some basic things I just looked up. So when you said about specialty coffee, 48% of coffee consumed in the United States is considered specialty coffee. And specialty coffee is just above 80 points on a grading scale.
Yeah.
So that's specialty coffee kind of, for the most part, eliminates
Any fear?
any fear, really. It's kind of like that standard is just so high that you'd have to be like cutting corners or something in that industry to really even create an opportunity for mold. So I don't think like just from the front to the back, I mean, it's a really complicated.
It is, and
Process.
a lot of times too, the when coffee is imported, like say if we buy a coffee from say Brazil, um, a lot of where it's stored, a lot of coffee comes in through the port of New Orleans. We get all of our coffee in from ports in New Jersey. We warehouse there, and also Minneapolis and a few other sources. But if a coffee is not considered specialty, it gets less care. So you'll have more lower grade coffee, more institutional roasters. But when you're into the specialty arena, you're talking about companies that are buying coffee that when the coffee is harvested, it goes through a wet process, which eliminates more mold possibilities as opposed to a natural process. You have, but you still have a risk of, of these mycotoxins.
Yeah.
One of the mycotoxins, just a little education, the name suggests toxins formed by mold, tiny fungi that may grow on crops like grain and coffee beans if they're improperly stored.
Yeah. And I think it's just kind of anything. Like it's kind of like if you bake a cake and if you immediately out of the oven just box it up, it's gonna create moisture in an environment for mold. So it's just kind of like, not sort of common sense. Like if you leave it out to dry, or if you leave it out, like there's just processes that have been going on that
Help people eliminate mold in their product.
and it's just part of the process. It's not to eliminate mold. It's just part of the whole thing that they do.
Well, some products require mold, like
Yeah.
like.
We have a our first yeast inoculated coffee. I mean,
We'll talk a little bit about that.
I mean, I don't know. I looked up it a little bit. I mean, I think they throw in, it's kind of like when they're like with brewing beer, it's kind of like you're playing on creating an agriculture kind of
Okay.
within the coffee, like within like, and you're not, or like kombucha, like that's technically a fungi.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that where you have bacteria, but like
You're using it to benefit the end product, perhaps like sourdough bread. One thing that we have, one of the things this article also says that some chemicals produced by mold may affect your health, while some have been used as pharmaceutical drugs. So many types of mycotoxins exist. The ones most relevant to coffee crops are the B1 and oxytocin A. One thing that I noticed, it does say after you roast the coffee, and the mycotoxin levels completely not completely, but they are drastically reduced. It says though 7% of roasted coffees contain ochratoxin. I said ochratoxin. A much higher amounts were found in Chile, and I'd mentioned that a little earlier. And it says, understandably, you may still not like the idea of having toxins in your food or beverage, but keep in mind that toxins, including mycotoxins, are everywhere, making it impossible to avoid them completely.
Yeah. And where's that cited from?
Good point.
Was it just that one right there?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. You have better.
Yeah, just a research, looks like evidence-based research paper. It doesn't say exactly the name on it, but I mean, when you look up mycotoxin on Google, it says a toxic substance created by certain fungi that can cause disease and death. So it's kind of a scary term that people can kind of use to instill fear and make people buy more expensive coffee based on those fears.
Well, possibly. Yeah.
Possible. I mean, it seems like a few of the places I was looking at.
One thing we won't do is that we won't advertise our coffee as mold-free coffee to induce customers to want to buy our coffee.
And we reached out to one of our importers, and they said they sent us the big.
I do have that
research.
I won't say the name of it.
Yeah, but I mean, they said out of 30,000 samples, 10 of them had a water activity, which is just a level that they base like for supporting the growth of mold, pretty much. Out of 30,000, 10 of them had that level where it could even be supported.
Yeah.
So,
one thing you can be assured, we're always going to be upfront with you. We're always going to be honest with you. We're not going to advertise our coffee as mold-free, although we could after our testing results come back.
mm-hmm.
Hopefully we'll get those next week. We just talked to them today, and I think we'll get those next week. So we'll follow up on the mycotoxin capacity in our own coffee and just see how it scores, and we'll go from there. We'll talk to you very soon.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thank you for listening to this, and mold free.